Welcome to episode 19 of the Hodgepodge podcast. I'm your host, Doug.
And I'm Dirty A. As the name suggests, we're going to talk about a hodgepodge of topics, anywhere from movies, music, TV, and other pop culture events.
And on this episode, Dirty A and I will be discussing our top picks for the films of 2013. You can reach us at the Hodgepodge Podcast at gmail.com or over on our website, thehodgepodgepodcast.com, or over on my review blog, dougreviews.blogspot.com. And as I just mentioned, today is our episode for the best movies of 2013.
Yeah, had to wait a bit to catch up on some of the movies.
Yeah, we had to. Yeah. And our last episode, we talked about 3 movies that were technically 2013 movies, but we saw in January. One of them made both our lists.
Yeah.
Not
so surprising. Not so surprising.
No.
But good timing, too, being that the Oscar nominations just came out.
Yeah, the Oscar nominations came out. We might talk about that a little bit, too. But we also have another episode coming up soon after this, so maybe we'll save that discussion for that one as well. So what we did is, Dirty and I both made lists of 10 films. They're pretty similar.
Yeah.
There's a few differences here and there, but they're pretty similar.
A great movie is a great movie.
That's true. So what we're going to do is we're going to break it up into, we're going to talk about, we'll list our, 3 at a time, basically, and then we'll talk a little bit about those films, and then we'll eventually arrive at the number 1 movie, which for us was actually the same film.
After Earth.
No.
Oh.
No, it was Only God Forgives.
Only God Forgives, right. This isn't the Razzie talk, I'm sorry.
No, sorry, no, we won't be doing the Razzie talk. Actually, did that get nominated for any Razzies? I don't think it did.
Only God Forgives? No.
Wow, that's shocking.
After Earth did.
Oh, yeah.
They got nominated for film and...
Oh, actors, yeah. That's kind of shitty, though. I mean, he's a kid. I mean, as obnoxious as he is, he's a kid and, shitting on this kid.
15, maybe.
Something like that. I mean, it's like, come on. But I guess, you're going to put your kid out there,
Exactly,
Yeah, so.
Forgive me for not feeling sorry for Will Smith's kid.
That's true. That's a good point. Scientology will take care of him. So, our first 3 films... for me, so we're going in order, obviously from 10 to 1. My 10, 9, and 8. Number 10 was This Is the End with Seth Rogen and James Franco. My number 9 was About Time, and my number 8 was Wolf of Wall Street.
Solid picks there. My number 10 was Stoker. Mm-hmm. My number 9 is Prisoners.
Okay.
And my number 8 is Philomena. So a couple of what some might consider wild horses there.
Dark horses.
I like wild.
Wild cards or dark horses?
You're racist.
No, I'm not.
You're right. This is wild.
Nice try.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's my 10, 9, and 8. Why don't we talk about yours? Yours first.
Sure. I went basically the way I made my list is I basically went through my reviews that I did, and basically anything I gave an A or A-2 basically made the cut. There were a couple movies. There was at least one movie that was an A- that didn't make the cut, and then I had a bunch of B+ that didn't make the cut. So This Is the End was the one I went with for my last movie on there, just because I felt it was really original, even though there were 2 end of the world movies this year. It was really
way different. Yeah,
way different. But it was really original, hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
It totally stands.
Such a funny movie.
I mentioned it earlier. We had another podcast when we did our best movies of the summer. I loved The Heat as well. That was the movie that just didn't make the cut for me. But it's for me. It was because while I loved that movie and it was so funny. The premise was it was basically, if you put 2 guys in the role, it was basically just a basic
any other buddy cop movie.
Buddy cop movie.
Yeah.
Whereas This Is the End was just a little bit more original.
Yeah, you made the right choice there for sure.
At About Time, we both loved that movie. It was a very sweet movie. Yeah. Doesn't get too maudlin. It was really, really good. Very funny.
It's done very well, kept very tempered for a sci-fi type of movie, still very grounded.
Right.
Yeah, really, really good movie there.
And then Wolf of Wall Street, we just talked about that a couple episodes ago. That was just a powerhouse.
No huge surprise there.
Yeah.
Scorsese doing his thing there. Did not make my list. Certainly a solid movie.
Yeah. And now your number 10 was a movie that we actually disagreed on.
Yeah.
We didn't get to talk about it on the podcast because it came out so early.
early April, maybe even March.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Stoker is, for those of you not aware, it's a movie that came out early in the year, and it was Park Chan-wook's American directorial debut.
Right.
He is the Korean director who directed the original Old Boy,
right,
and the whole Revenge trilogy out there, but best known for Old Boy.
Right.
And so this was his first attempt over here in American cinema, and I thought he knocked it out of the park. I'm certainly biased because I love his style of directing.
And we kind of talked about that a little bit with Old Boy.
So, yeah, it's definitely biased there, but it really was a well-done film. The content, it's... we don't really need to get into what it's about, but it's kind of it's call it a coming of age story for a sociopath.
Yeah, it was. There were parts of it that I liked. It just didn't really speak to me the way it spoke to you.
No, and neither did Old Boy for you.
I mean, it was just like, I mean, we went to this movie, and I think we mentioned this in the Old Boy episode that our friend Hillary was with us, and she and I were just laughing the whole time because we just didn't get it.
Yeah.
It just didn't do it for us. And then we left it, and you were just like, you're like, I liked it. Walked away from us. You're so angry.
I did. I really liked it, and I thought, I mean, it's one of those movies. This is kind of how he directs, but everything means something,
right?
And I love watching the movie, figuring that out. Like, what is this? Not every movie. Some movies, and it doesn't
like Transformers.
Exactly. That was right in my head. But everything means something, has some subtext there, and to try to figure that out. But it doesn't, for me, it still doesn't take away from the entertainment value of the movie itself. And it's a very creepy movie, and the tone felt that way the entire time. No matter what was on screen, I felt kind of tense and on the edge of my seat.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's my number 10.
Okay.
My number 9 is Prisoners, which we both enjoyed. Prisoners.
Yeah.
And this is Hugh Jackman and
Jake
Gyllenhaal, kind of a procedural crime drama about the kidnapping of his child and his neighbor's child.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman and Terrence Howard's kids get kidnapped.
Just very well done movie. I'm not necessarily surprised the movie itself did not get a nod, but Hugh Jackman.
Yeah,
I think people talk about like Tom Hanks getting snubbed, and I'm going no.
Yeah,
Hugh Jackman, if anybody, got snubbed for this role.
I think Prisoners, and you might hear about this movie again in a few minutes. But Prisoners was a very dark movie, In fact, looking at my list, it's the second darkest movie on the list. And
obviously my list being third because I put Stoker on there. So.
Yeah, right. But it was very well made. It was long, and if you couldn't sit through a long movie, but I can, so I love long movies. So
I don't mind long movies, but to me, this one, it's not like it felt.
It didn't. It kept me engaged.
Yeah. So the length really is not a determining factor, I guess. Again, for people like you and me who will sit through a long movie if it's terrible.
Right.
But it's just a fantastic movie.
Yeah, I think it suffered, as far as the Oscars go, I think it suffered from being released in September.
Yeah.
And it's sad that now you say that September is too early to be released.
It did. It kind of got lost in the shuffle.
Because a lot of people liked Rush, the Ron Howard racing movie. It didn't do it for us, but I would say Daniel Bruhl maybe should have been nominated for supporting actor.
I believe what I said in that review is that it's a good movie, but there's nothing great about it.
Yeah.
I was really surprised at all the buzz around it for the Golden Globes and then the Oscars that it was even being considered. I don't know.
But it had a lot of ardent supporters, and it suffered the same fate, I think, as Prisoners. It came out in September, and people just forgot about it.
But I wouldn't put those in the same category.
No, but I'm just saying it's a similar thing.
No, you're absolutely right. And that is sad that movies are forgotten about like that.
It is.
And so that was my number 9. My number 8 is a small movie, a British movie called Philomena.
Right.
Which came out October?
Something like that. We saw it later because
we saw it a few weeks later.
But
I was very surprised at this movie.
Me too.
I wanted to see it in that in that we see almost everything. But for something about it just kind of piqued my interest a little bit. I didn't even really know fully what it was about necessarily. But it really surprised me and hung around in my head. I mean, I really enjoyed this movie, and even thinking about it now. And again, Philomena is it's a British movie.
Based on a true story.
Yeah, based on a true story with Steve Coogan and Judi Dench about a woman trying to find her son some 50 years after she was forced to give him up at birth.
Right.
So it's a tale of a journalist taking her from Ireland to America to find her son, and it's very touching, very funny, and very British. So
yeah,
it's that kind. And if you know movies and anything British, you know what I'm talking about. The humor's dry, subtle. But for me, I love it. I mean, that's why 3 of my movies are British on my list.
Yeah, I mean, Philomena, I liked it a lot. It just didn't quite make my list, but it's definitely a good movie. We did discuss it a few episodes ago. People should definitely seek it out. It is good, and it was a surprise nomination.
Yeah,
for
I was
Best Picture.
Very happy to see that it got nominated,
especially over like Saving Mr. Banks.
I didn't see that coming at all,
but it was great. Figured Judi Dench would get nominated, and Steve Coogan also helped write it. So he was behind that too, and it's very funny, but also very.
Did it get nominated for screenplay as well?
I believe it did.
Yeah, adapted screenplay.
I think it did. I'd have to look it up, but yeah, Philomena was good.
Yeah.
So what are your next 3?
Okay, my next 3, 6, 5, and 4. My number 6, I have About Time. Just talked about a minute ago.
Yeah.
My number 5 is another one that came out really early in the year and probably fell trapped to that being released around April time frame, and that's Matthew McConaughey in not Dallas Buyers Club, Mud.
Yeah.
Movie called Mud. I was blown away by this movie. I really enjoyed this movie. It is not for everybody. It's a pretty very specific movie. Let's
say. Very southern crime drama.
Yeah, and
kind of well. I wouldn't say it's similar to True Detective that he's on now, but because that's more gothic. But this is it was very specific to the region.
Yeah, and so this is about more so. It's actually about
the kids.
It's about the kids in the movie. So they kind of find a place to go play on this. They take their dad's boat out, or one of their dad's boats out to an island and find a kind of a place.
This is in Arkansas.
Yeah,
it's in Arkansas.
A place they kind of call their own, and they run into this guy nicknamed Mud. They just call him Mud, played by Matthew McConaughey, who sort of he needs their help a little bit, but he also kind of teaches them kind of a life lesson, kind of a growing into adolescence type of thing.
Right.
And I mean, I could. This is a movie I could talk about for hours.
Yeah, Mud. The main kid was played by Ty Sheridan. He's a great young actor. Excellent. I want to say they were talking about putting him into Star Wars, but that might change now because they redid the whole script apparently. But he was fantastic in this movie. The movie's really about him.
Absolutely.
But Matthew McConaughey was excellent in this film. Reese Witherspoon's in it. She's great. The whole film's great. It's another one that just missed making my list because I loved Mud. Anybody who mentions it, I'm like, oh man, you got to see Mud.
Yeah.
You got to see Mud. Really, really good. The ending for me just felt like a little bit of a cop out, and that's really all that really.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but for me, most movies that end that way, that's how I feel about it. A little bit of a cop out when that happens. I'm always like, they should have gone the other way with that.
Yeah, because. Yeah, well, anyway, we won't spoil it.
But it for me, it did not in any way ruin the rest of the movie.
Right.
I mean, really, really good movie.
Great film. Great film.
Again, a movie I could talk about for quite a while here, but we'll keep rolling since we got a lot to cover.
Yeah. I think you skipped number 7, but that's okay because it's my number 7.
Oh, I did.
But it's my number 7 too, so it doesn't matter. Number 7 for me is a movie that we just talked about in the last episode. Spike Jonze's Her.
Yep, my number 7 as well.
Yours as well. We both love this movie a lot. Good movie. You want to hear us talk about it? listen to the last one. So
Yeah. I mean,
my number,
absolutely. Just scroll back a podcast.
my number 6 was what we talked about already, Prisoners. And it's funny because we both had About Time and Prisoners in the opposite
Flip-flopped.
flip-flopped. But again, Prisoners, great. My number 5 was a movie that we saw, and we were both really pleasantly surprised by this movie. Thought it was fantastic. Enough Said, with Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Absolutely.
And one of James Gandolfini's final screen roles.
And if you're going to go out on one, he knocked it out of the park.
It was a great, great, great movie. We talked about this several episodes ago after we saw it, because we had no idea it was going to be that good. We were just like, we'll go see it.
Yeah, let's
go see it. It's James Gandolfini. We'll go see it.
Why don't we just go see Enough Said?
And it was fantastic. It's very, very funny. It does pull on your heartstrings a little bit, but it's also, there's a lot of uncomfortable humor in it.
Yeah.
That was on, like, Seinfeld and, like, from The Office.
Yeah.
Very uncomfortable situations.
I go back to that in the movie, the first date scene where it plays out just like any first date. It's amazing.
Right. It's very organic. It's very natural. The crux of the story is a little movie-ish. She just happens to, But and I don't want to give anything away, because we tried very hard not to give anything away, even though if you go watch the trailer or something, that they do give it away. The twist.
The twist, if you will, little contrived. And that, to be honest, that's the one thing that I harped on that it didn't make. I drooled over this movie. Like, I wanted to put it in my top 10.
Right.
I could easily flip a coin right now and replace one of these movies with Enough Said. It is really good.
Yeah.
It's definitely a runner-up for me.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And actually, what's funny about Enough Said is that somebody I work with, he is a divorcee, and he saw it, and he hated it.
Really?
And the reason why he hated it is because the Catherine Keener character reminded him of his ex-wife. And he's like, "That's my ex-wife." And he goes, "Oh, I couldn't stand it. It was like someone was like fucking needling my soul." And I was like, "Sorry, man." I was like, "Sorry, go see Lone Survivor."
I bet you that made you like it even more. You're like, "Hey, that."
Yeah, I mean, but that exactly. So it's that,
Yeah, the way they develop these characters, they're written so every character here is written so well. Even the supporting cast, like the her friend's husband.
Yeah, Tony Collette, and
hilarious.
Oh yeah, and the husband is Ben. I forget his last name, but he's Melissa McCarthy's husband in real life. He's hilarious.
Great.
He's so funny. Yeah. It's just a great movie. I think it's out on video now on DVD.
Oh, is it?
I think it might be. If it is, check it out. Check out Enough Said. You won't regret it, unless you're a divorcee who someone in the movie is very similar to someone you divorced.
It's true. Yeah.
If so, sorry.
Oh.
The next 3 for both of us are very similar. Just our 2 and 3, we swapped places.
Yeah.
Number 3. This would be number 4 for me. Number 4, World's End.
Yeah, also my number 4.
Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost. Great movie. This was, for both of us, our number 1 movie of the summer.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it a perfect movie, because it's not my number 1 on my list. But it's
pretty darn close.
It's pretty close. I mean, it works on every level. It works as a comedy. It works as a tale of friendship, and even as a drama. And it works as a sci-fi movie. I remember
it hits all the
I was listening actually to our first podcast.
You're so conceited.
Well, no, because I was trying to get my thoughts in order for this list. I remember that when I first watched it, even though I'd seen the trailer multiple times, I got about halfway through the movie and I'd forgotten it was supposed to be a sci-fi movie, because the sci-fi conceit hadn't come in yet to the movie. Yeah. And you get so sucked up by the characters, and Simon Pegg is excellent. Yeah. A lot of people were clamoring that he should have gotten some kind of Oscar recognition.
He was good. But look, this is part of, if you didn't catch our summer podcast, this is part of Edgar Wright's and Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, their Cornetto trilogy.
Right.
Started out with Shaun of the Dead, and then hit Hot Fuzz, and this is the third and final in the trilogy. Easily, for me, the best of the trilogy. And that's saying a lot, because I'm in love with all 3 of those guys.
Yeah.
But this movie it's like you said, so close to perfect, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just good. Check it out. Even if you're not that into sci-fi, it's like Doug said, that's just one aspect of a multifaceted movie.
Right. And the ending is blow your mind. Yeah. So my number 3 and your number 2,
Yep.
American Hustle. Love this movie. I would go so far as to say it was my favorite movie of the year, but it wasn't the best movie of the year.
Movie. And that actually probably plays into why I put it at number 2. I actually thought the opposite of you.
Right.
As far as a favorite movie, I liked it better than your number 2.
Right.
But if I'm looking technically at the movie,
right,
would probably be right on par.
Right.
But as far as David O. Russell's concerned, would you say it's the best he's ever done? Because you really liked.
I really liked Silver Linings Playbook a lot.
Yeah.
I love that movie. That's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough.
That's another podcast. But this
movie's great. Fantastic cast. It's so funny. It is so funny, and Christian Bale does a great job. It was so great to see him after Christian Bale does so many dark dramas. I mean, not even just Batman, but like his take on Batman, but like
everything.
I mean,
out of the Furnace,
which you did this year, very very dark.
The Machinist,
right? I mean, Machinist. Wow. All the Batman stuff. The Prestige was a dark film.
American Psycho. I mean, dark
right.
shit.
And he did. What was the other one he did? The Werner Herzog film with him and Steve Zahn, where he's a captured POW.
Dawn. Something Dawn.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
The name escapes me right now.
They're POWs in the camp. Yeah.
I mean, but so he does so many dark roles and serious, dramatic roles. It was so refreshing to see him do something. Not light, because it is more of a dramedy. I had a debate with a friend of mine because he was like, I wouldn't call it a comedy, but you laugh so much in this movie.
I mean, at worst, it's a lighthearted drama.
Right.
But I definitely lean more towards it being a comedy.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
But, this whole cast works perfectly.
Yeah.
And after I saw this for the second time, kind of changed my mind about what I said in the podcast. I said that Brad Cooper's character was maybe more of a toss-up that anyone could have played. After watching it the second time, I've got to correct myself because he was amazing.
Right.
I did not give him enough credit
for
watching it the first time to the second time. He did a really good job there, and I'm sorry, Bradley Cooper. If you want to give me a call anytime and show me how to get a perm, I'd appreciate it.
Amy Adams is great in it, and Jennifer Lawrence. There's been kind of a little backlash against her. I think people are kind of getting tired of her, and it's like, and they're like, oh, she overacted in this movie, and I disagree. That's the character.
Her character was a neurotic mess who was probably borderline bipolar. Yeah. That's who she was. That was her character. She lights up the screen whenever she's on any movie for me. But in this one, she every time she was on screen, she stole the show.
Now she's feeling kind of blue. Because she'll be an X-Men as Mystique. So, but American Hustle, if you haven't seen it yet, go see it.
Yeah.
It'll be in theaters for a while because it's making a lot of money. It's doing really well. And then my number 2, which was your number 3, was Alfonso Cuarón's Gravity. Gravity blew me away.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Would you say out of this world?
Well, no, it was in the Earth's atmosphere. So...
Space Jam.
Space Jam. But it was a technical powerhouse. I can see some people's critique that the story is not super deep. It is a survival horror movie, but it's an experience. You have to see it.
It's a journey into it's an external journey, but it's also a journey into this medical astronaut's psyche. I mean, it's as terrifying as any horror movie that you'll see. You feel claustrophobic watching this movie.
Right.
Like, speaking of perfect movies, there was hardly one note wrong with this movie for me. It hit everything, and Clooney and Bullock, who I'm not even that big a fan of.
Yeah.
Great work. You know, it's really hard. People don't give movies like this enough credit when you've only got one or two people on screen. It's hard to hold an audience's attention when you only got one or two characters on the screen the entire time. And this did much more than that. It captivated me.
Right.
So yeah, worthy movie to have at the top of our list.
Yeah, Gravity is fantastic. It's a fantastic film. I can't remember if it's still in theaters or not. I know they
They're
re-released
re-releasing
it, but I don't know if it's still in theaters or they just did it for a weekend or something
I'm
like that.
not
But
sure.
if you can find it in a theater, go see it because it deserves to be seen on big screen. And as we said in our original review, go see it in 3D. And we never advise that. Never advise
good point.
that.
It works.
Go see it in 3D. It's
awesome
meant to be.
in 3D.
I mean, everything is just pitch perfect in that movie.
Yeah.
But it was not our number one movie.
Nope. And again, we came up with these lists independently here.
Right.
So,
right. And our number one movie,
Steve McQueen's 12 Years a Slave.
12 Years a Slave. It has to be 12 Years a Slave. This is just about to be re-released in theaters. I don't know if it's just for the weekend, but if you haven't seen it, you have to see it.
Yeah,
you have to see this movie.
We talked about this in our review. This is a movie that it demands to be seen by everybody.
Yeah,
it's so powerful. And as far as top 10 list or what movies of the year is, and a lot of people a lot of times will say it's just the emotional aspect is what carries it through. Sometimes I'll fall into that trap as well, but this is absolutely it's emotional. But
right.
Everything about it is right,
and
it's not just about the emotion, but it's the history that it provides, the context it gives. Again, it's a true story, written on based on someone's real account of being a slave for 12 years.
Right.
Thank you, freaking Brad Pitt, for having this movie made.
Yeah, Brad Pitt was one of the producers. His Plan B Productions was one of the major producers on it, and basically got it made.
And if you live in Italy, he is the star of the movie.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, apparently Italy, they made a poster about 12 Years a Slave where front and center was Brad Pitt real big, and then like
image of
Chiwetel Ejiofor, who is in the whole freaking movie. The whole movie's about him. He's like this little thing on the little guy.
Running.
Right.
It's either Brad Pitt, and they also had one with Michael Fassbender. It was. I mean, it was equal parts funny and ridiculously offensive.
I mean, if that doesn't tell you right there what a joke the Golden Globes are, and like because like a lot of people are like, oh, well, the Golden Globes might influence. Golden Globes don't influence anything as far as the Oscars go because those awards can basically be bought. Well, the Oscars probably can be too, but the with the Golden Globes more so because it's only like 85 people deciding who gets those, and 12 Years a Slave did win for best drama.
It did.
But they also
me and you both think though that Ejiofor should win
as
for
best
actor.
As good as McConaughey, as good as all the other actors were in their roles, and the field for best actor is really loaded this year. Bruce Dern was great in Nebraska. DiCaprio gave possibly his best performance in Wolf of Wall Street. I mean, he was fantastic. Christian Bale, we just talked about him. He was great, super great in American Hustle. McConaughey was great in Dallas Buyers Club, but Ejiofor, he's got to win it. I mean, he has to.
I don't see any other way. Maybe vote split or something like that.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
You never know. I mean, it's a crapshoot sometimes. And like you said, this is a loaded year. Like there's not a runaway. I hate to use the word runaway.
Yeah.
But
everybody in there.
You can't. It's not like I could even fault if someone else wins it because I could understand. But for me,
right,
it's a Ejiofor all the way.
I got to be honest. If Bruce Dern won it, I'd be kind of pissed because
you're right. Not
that's called. Well, he's old. Let's give it to him. And he was great in Nebraska. Don't get me wrong, but
again, that was one of those movies that for me is probably a honorable mention for me, right outside of my top.
Oh yeah, it was funny. It was good.
Very funny movie.
But 12 Years a Slave, and also we should also mention what's her name, Lupita Nyong'o. If I probably completely butchered her name. She's nominated for Best Supporting Actress. She played a slave in the movie. And she's fantastic. Her performance is just absolutely heartbreaking. She can definitely give Jennifer Lawrence a run for her money for Best Supporting Actress. Fantastic. Just a great film. I mean, I got to be honest. I was watching The Daily Show and flipping through the commercials, and then the commercial came on for it that, we're putting it back in theaters, blah, blah, blah. I started watching the commercial. I started getting like a little choked up just watching the commercial.
I'm telling you.
It's a very powerful film. it is the movie of the year. No matter how much I loved Gravity or American Hustle, or this is the movie of the year.
I mean, it's got everything those movies had, and then it's on top. You
right.
made that emotion on
Right,
top.
exactly.
Sure. Like I said, I people might say it's just because of the emotion, but no, it's that on top of everything else.
It's an amazing story, too.
I
mean, it's a fantastic story. It's Benedict Cumberbatch is in it. He's good. Brad Pitt is in it for
everything.
Yeah, he is in everything.
We were watching August.
August,
and I leaned to the person we went and saw it with, and I said, "Man, his casting agent must be amazing."
Yeah, I know.
He's just lighting it up with the past couple of years.
Yeah, there was also a point where he said something in that movie. Oh no, she comes, she goes, "What are you watching?" And he just goes, "Television." And then I turned to her and I said, "No shit, Sherlock." But anyway, he's great in it. Brad Pitt has a minor but important role in it. He's great. Fassbender. If Jared Leto wasn't in the running, I would say Fassbender might run away with Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, I'd give that to Leto though.
He was great in Dallas Buyers Club.
He deserves that one.
But just a great movie. We can't tell you enough how great 12 Years a Slave is. You have to go see it. I was talking to a friend of mine online, and he was talking about Wolf of Wall Street and how much he loved Wolf of Wall Street and Leonardo DiCaprio and stuff. And I mentioned something about Ejiofor. I was like, well, I said Leo was great, but Ejiofor can win. He's like, I haven't seen 12 Years. I'm like, you have to see 12 Years a Slave. You have to see it.
And that's it's a shame because there's going to be the majority of the country won't see this movie for
probably not,
and it's a shame.
I mean, it was very.
This should be shown in schools.
It really should. Yeah, it really should. But that's it. That's our best of 2013. There were other movies that were very worthy, but just didn't make the cut.
Yeah, it's always hard to pull together a list like this.
Yeah,
you feel. I mean, if you're like me, Doug, you get so attached to movies in general. It almost. Terrible use of term, but it's almost heartbreaking to pull a movie out of your top 10 that you want to recognize, but it just
that's why I made it so clinical, and I just said, okay, well, let's go with all my A's and A minuses, and so because Mud, I really wanted to put Mud on there, but it's just like I said, the ending for me, I was just like,
that's what it comes down to, right? There are going to be little things,
but that's it. I mean, for Mud for me was a B+, so it's like it's just like a hair off, and Place Beyond the Pines was a great movie.
Yeah, that's also that was I teetered on that one as my number 10. I believe you that was another ending that you kind of
for that movie that the whole third act was kind of rushed, but it was a great movie.
Yeah,
Gosling was great in it.
Way Back.
Way Back was great.
Summer comedy.
And I was surprised looking at my list, all the comedies that are on there. This Is the End, About Time, Wolf of Wall Street, Her. You could say to a degree, Enough Said. I mean, The World's End, American Hustle. I mean, that's a ton of comedies.
Yeah. Normally not that loaded.
Yeah, normally it's not that loaded with comedies. And it was just a great year for movies.
And good. I hope the comedy deserves a chance to.
Yeah,
I mean, when it just doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, when I was talking to my friend online about American Hustle and how he didn't see it as a comedy, I kind of explained it. I said, well, comedy has kind of become a dirty word in movies because, some people say comedy and they think like A Haunted House, which is coming out. The second one's coming out.
Oh yeah,
in a couple
Naked
of months.
Gun style slapstick.
Yeah, I mean, Naked Gun was great, but I know what you're getting at. But people think of like these frat boys or like this movie with Ice Cube and Kevin Hart. Ride Along. It's like, or
hey, whoa. What do you think? What do you think we're doing right after this is over?
We're not going to see that, and but it has almost become like a dirty word, and there's a lot of these movies that show that comedies can be done well with drama mixed in and still be hilarious. Not This Is the End so much, but
which did not need.
No, it didn't need any drama at all.
It is absurdist to its core.
Well, there was an exorcism. Right. That was kind of serious. But that'll do it for 2013. 2013 is in the books now. Finally, midway through January, 2013 is in the books. All these movies, you should definitely check them out. Some of them are actually on DVD now. I know Prisoners on DVD.
Yeah, Gravity is coming out next month.
This is the End is out. About time, I'm not sure. Enough said, I'm not sure. And World's End is out on DVD as well too. And the other movies are all in theaters right now. So definitely check them out. Mud is on DVD. Stoker's on DVD. So
I see you shrugging as you say Stoker.
no, I was just looking at the list.
Whatever, man. Whatever, man.
Whatever, Stoker. But yeah, good year for movies, and hopefully this one will measure up. But we'll see. It has Transformers 4.
Yeah.
So
Here's looking at you, Trey.
we'll see. We'll see you next time.
See you in 2014. Wait.
We're already there.
Yeah.